Hello and welcome back to It's Queer Magic. It's me, your host, Kirbo, and it is Sagittarius season. And it's time to look into the energy so that we can live our lives, we can thrive, we can be in our lane, in our power, in our moment, getting the most out of our lives. That's what we're here to do. I have started with a card for all of us, right? We'll have a card that is a message for the entire season for everyone. And then I'm going to go ahead and have a card for each sign. Now you can look at your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. These are intended for rising signs, but the secondary is the sun. So if you don't know your rising sign, please just watch the one for your sun and the one for all of us, and you'll still get some really juicy information. Okay, are you ready? Let me show you what we have pulled for Sagittarius season. For all of us, the card of the season is the Ace of Wands. And I really feel like this is such a beautiful beginning, an invitation to investigate where it is that we are actually being drawn, because everywhere across the board, we are all being called to act. We are all being called to action. The Ace of Wands says the energy with which to move exists. The fuel, the pull, the direction, the call, the spark of life and living, the spark of direction has been lit. It has been struck. And it's your job to grasp this. It's your job to put your energy into the follow through. Now, I say follow through, and I don't really mean like the long haul. I mean the beginning. Right? I mean, to get the energy to start, to get up out of your seat, to walk out of your house, to start writing that thing, to start painting that thing, to do what it is that you are called to do. And it can be really complicated and difficult to listen to those kind of calls when there's so much trauma and so much disaster happening globally. And while we are absolutely being called to act, to support the most marginalized, to work for a liberated future for all of us, we cannot forget that we are all individually holding on to a particular key to this liberation inside of us. And while it is not the same to say that you are, that by solely painting your painting, you are doing your part. Right? You don't have to call your representatives. You don't have to protest. You don't have to speak your mind to people who are unsure, that can be convinced, right? That's not the same thing, right? This is a both and types of situation where you are being invited to do all of the actionable steps to actually help people who are suffering a genocide, right? To actually help people who are marginalized in many ways, who are suffering from colonial powers, who are suffering from climate disaster, who are suffering from displacement, all over, everyone suffering, where we are being called to recognize that we are literally one, and that's it. And that we can if and but point fingers, fault all we want until the cows come home. But when those cows get home, it is still true that we are one. We are not separate from each other. And that goes for the animals, it goes for the plants, it goes for the trees, for the stones, for the seemingly inanimate. Everything on this planet, we are made of the same stuff. We are the same. We are one. And because of that, we are being called to act as if we are. And so we do what we can. Right? We follow all the actionable steps. We put our effort into change. And we also, especially now during Sagittarius season, urged by the Ace of Wands, also, we listen for the call inside of us that is telling us what our particular key is, what our particular contribution is. And it may not feel directly connected. Your book may not feel directly connected. Your art piece may not feel directly connected. The deck that you're building, the dance that you are choreographing, the clothes that you're making, whatever it is you are called to create. And it's not just creatives. I want to be clear. It's not just creatives. Your ability in your city council to come to think of a decision, to think of a compromise, that is your contribution. Your ability to schedule, your ability to keep things neat, your ability to clean, your ability to do any of what your affinity is absolutely a contribution. So I don't want you to feel neglected or left out of this message if you're like, I'm not a creative, that's not necessarily my lane. That's okay. That's okay. It's more than okay, because we need you exactly as you are. We need you in the truest version of yourself, not something that you're trying to put on. So under that understanding, remember that you are being asked to hear a call, to feel a spark that has been lit inside of you, and to find a way to grasp at that cord, to follow that cord in that direction, to put the effort in, to begin, to just begin. To not wait or to make an excuse or to find a way to put it off because XYZ, right? No more. We have to find a way to start. And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, our effort at perfection is in itself a flaw and will hold you back from ever reaching anything that you are remotely proud of. That your need or your urge for perfection is not actually spurned on by wanting to do a good job, but more as it is a condition of living under capitalist white supremacy. It is a condition, right? It is a symptom, this hyper individualistic strive for perfection. Because wanting to do good work and making an effort to do good work is absolutely different from the urge of perfection, because perfection says, don't move forward until it looks like this. And doing good work says be all the way in the experience. It says be present for this. Keep building it. Do it messy. Like have a first draft, have a second draft, have a third draft. It's not about waiting until the circumstances are perfect or the work is perfect or you feel like your skill is perfect, because again, you're never going to get there. It doesn't exist. And perfection will hold you back at every turn. So remember, you are being called to grasp that wand out of the sky that the universe is handing to you, that the universe is dangling above you, not as temptation, but as a clear sign that says, this is for you. Take it. Pull that arrow of Sagittarius, right? Pull that arrow taut and let it fly. Let it soar through the air and find purchase in the thing that your heart desires, in the action, in the reality, in the life experience that your heart desires, that your true will is aimed towards. Sagittarius has the power to guide you there, to propel you forward on the heels of curiosity and bravery, on the fuel of insatiable desire to know and to experience. Let yourself be led in the direction that you're led. Surrender to where you are being catapulted through the sky. And let yourself take action. That's the message for all of us for Sagittarius season. Let yourself go. Let yourself start. Surrender to your passion. Don't be reckless. Don't ruin your life. Those things are different. Surrendering to your passion does not have to look like you taking the biggest gamble. Gambles are not recommended during Sagittarius season. A risk will be juicy. A risk will work. A risk will be worth it. But a gamble is recklessness. And we don't need that. What we want is you to surrender to the first step that's right on your plate. Not to jump from here to 3,000 miles. But to go directly from here to what is the very next step? What is the one way that I can bring this that is calling to me into my everyday life? And begin. Just begin. You're worth it. We all need it. And it's how you will contribute. So do so, please. Okay, Aries. Your card for Sagittarius season, under the umbrella, under the arms of the Ace of Wands, is the Magician. And this is a cool, great card for Aries to get, because you are being asked to move in the direction of sharpening your channel, of widening your ability to listen. And I know that feels sort of out of your comfortability as an Aries, where you're like, I'm action, baby. Yeah, you are. Absolutely. And Sagittarius is asking you to move, but they're asking you to not necessarily jump from one thing to another, but they're asking you to glance down at your table and look at the tools that you have. Look at the tools that you have and to pick them up and utilize them in your life. You are being invited to make it happen by not extraordinary means, but by looking down and recognizing the things that you have, the things that you could be using, the things that you are underutilizing, and find a way to engage with them directly. You and your inspiration are vital. And it's time to get a little bit more skilled at witnessing and experiencing your own inspiration via your intuition, via your channel. If you have been feeling called to like learn tarot or to meditate more or to figure out how you're communicating with the invisible world or with your higher self or your inner self or your ancestors, now is the perfect time. Sagittarius season has the fuel for you to listen to spirit and to find a way to exercise those skills. I also think the Magician in this moment is absolutely reminding you that you cannot ignore what is happening on the inside and expect the outside, the physical world that you're living in, to remain unchanged, right? This is a card of as above, so below. This is a card of as within, so without. So if your inner landscape is messy, if your inner landscape is one that is really damaging, or the word I'm looking for is, if your inner landscape is volatile or is harmful to you, we cannot pretend that it is not affecting your outward experience. We can't pretend that it is not affecting your physical life and your world outside of your thoughts and your feelings. You're invited to remember that those things have a direct connection to each other. So if you are engaging in physical activities, in physical experiences, real life experiences that are damaging your insides, that are damaging your heart and your spirit, that are messing with your mind and your mental well-being, then you have the invitation to adjust what needs to be adjusted. Because the point is not that, oh, I'm doing this thing and I know it's hurting me. The point is more, you're doing this thing and it's time to open your eyes and look at how it's affecting you on the inside. And vice versa. I am pretending I'm got my life together on the outside. I'm telling people that I feel happy and compassionate and empathy. And on the inside, I'm actually just completely crushed and numb and not experiencing anything. We can't expect that feeling to not have any effects on your actual world. Remember that it's connected. And the Magician says you have the tools to adjust things. You have the tools. You have the directions even. You've been given the directions already. It's up to you to listen to what is calling to you, to be brave and make the changes that need to happen so that you can follow your dreams, and to recognize that it's not always an experience of you needing more. You have the tools that you have. And of course, there are things that are not met. There are things that would make it easier. But if they're not your circumstances, it doesn't mean you don't try. It means you start with the tools on your table and you'll be surprised at how far you actually get. Okay, Taurus, you're up. The card for Sagittarius season for you is the Two of Swords. And underneath the Ace of Wands, I really feel like the Two of Swords is asking you to get to that decision. It's time to make a choice. This thing has been calling to you. You've been hemming and hawing for a long time, going from one end to the other end of the decision, and you have been looking it over, under, sideways, around, upside down, reading it backwards, trying to read between the lines, trying to figure out every angle of this situation. And at some point you have to trust that you have seen it. At some point, you have to trust that you've seen everything that you're able to see, and now it is time to make a choice. Because we don't wait to feel certain. We don't wait to feel 100% sure that our whole brain and body is on board for this choice. That's not a reality for many of us. If you've got trauma, if you've got issues that so many of us have, like, you're not always going to get to a place where you feel like you can trust 100% feeling yes. Like, you're going to get that feeling. And oftentimes when we are faced with something that absolutely is calling to us, part of the work, part of the push is to actually surrender and go in that direction and make that choice without necessarily having all the details and knowing all of the pieces of it. Remember that faith and hope are not things that are useful when it's easy and when we see what's going on, we've got the details, we've got the information, everything makes sense. Faith and hope are meaningless at that point because we don't need them because we can see what's going on. Faith and hope are useful and necessary tools for when we do not see all of the details, when we do not see exactly what's going on. We have a call, we can see a piece of it, and we do our best to get the advice from everyone and then hold up that advice to our own internal guidance system. But you can't stay there forever. You can't stay in that meditation, in that internal zone. At some point, it's time to make a move. And I think that you are being asked, you are being called to trust the invitation that is in front of you, to grasp that wand, the Ace of Wands, that is floating in front of your face. And it's giving you plenty of time to inspect it. And I think it's just time to try, because nothing is permanent. Nothing is forever. A lot of things you can change. Almost everything you'll be able to change if you are dissatisfied or it's not what it claimed to be or something does come up. But you are never going to be able to expect everything that happens, every possibility. And right now, I really just think that you are being invited to finish up your investigation, to feel out for yourself what the truth is for you, what you're really being invited to do. And then when you can't ask the same questions anymore and you're still getting the same answers, to take it to the streets, to try to take it to the physical world, to make an attempt and see what changes. It's time to make a choice. Okay, Taurus, you can do this. You can do this. All right, Geminis, me and you. So our card for Sagittarius season is the Nine of Wands. The Nine of Wands. I think that Gemini, you might be getting tired. I think that the Ace of Wands asking you to move forward feels like a really big ask because there's a lot of things on your plate that you're trying to balance. There's a lot of things that you're trying to deal with. There's a lot of things that you're trying to keep, a lot of plates that you're trying to keep spinning all at one time. And the ask to go in this direction or to accept this new invitation or to move forward on this idea is so scary because you don't have space, you don't have time, you're feeling like it's too much. But the Nine of Wands says, this is one last push. It says, we know that this is not forever. This is not sustainable. You can't do this. You can't go at this pace forever. But we're not asking you to go at this pace forever. We're asking you to go at this pace just for right now, because it will get you somewhere, because you are asking for a change. You're asking for an outcome, and you're being invited to put your energy into just one more piece of this that is being made clear to you, that you are being invited to pay attention to. The Nine of Wands doesn't just say run yourself ragged, though. It says to find the tools you need to take care of yourself in between. Find the catch breaths, the places, the small pauses where you can take a big deep breath, take a big drink of water, take a power nap, and then get back to it. You're not going to have to do this forever. You will not have to go like this forever. But putting your effort in, making the sacrifice, trying a little bit harder right now than you feel like is comfortable or that you want to do is going to have big rewards. So remember that there have been so many invitations for you, and Jupiter next year is going to be in your sign. Jupiter is moving into your sign. Things are going to expand, but they will only expand off of the work that you put in now, right? Jupiter expands things that exist. So if you've been planning something and you want it to be big and you want it to be good and you want to put your heart into it and you want to get results for it, then you better start now, even if you feel like it's a lot, even if you're tired, especially if you're feeling a little ragged from it. Find a way to take care of yourself so that you can keep going, because Jupiter eventually will get to this sign and will expand on the work that you've done, and you will receive the fruits of your labor. So whatever is calling to you right now, if you can find the time, if you can find the energy to take those moments of breaks, but then find a way to keep fighting, you will be rewarded. Don't be afraid, but do find the tools that you need to keep going. Refuel. Find your spiritual 5-hour energy. Find your power nap moment. Find your joy thing that fills you back up real quick so that you can keep going. Right? This isn't about giving up. It's not about pushing yourself to the breaking point. It's just about a little bit more endurance. The last effort, the last big push before you really start to see some results. All right, Cancer. The card for you for Sagittarius season is the 10 of Swords. And the 10 of Swords is asking you to expand and to surrender to the new version of you that has been begging for time and attention. And the new version of you specifically around a thought process that is ending, like a way of thinking about yourself, relating to yourself and the world around you that is just shifting. This is the death of a certain piece of your personality that you may have been committed to for like a long time. And that's okay. Length of time doesn't make something more true, because ultimately shedding this version of yourself, letting that way of thinking finally die and be done with, is going to help you expand. It's going to help you really be the full version of yourself and to feel better and, quite frankly, just have more good days. But the moment that you're in right now with Sag season is the 10 of Swords. So when you're smack dab in the middle of it, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm expanding, I'm growing, I'm getting it. It feels like, ow, I'm shedding. This piece of me is painful and I want to be done with it. And there are stumbling blocks, right? Sometimes there's stopping and going and starting over, what it feels like starting over when you are deciding not to think a certain way, or you're deciding to heal a thought process, or you're trying to stop a pattern or a cycle. The 10 of Swords says that you are finally putting this thing to rest. So it's going to feel a little bit like a small death. It's going to feel like you're letting a version of yourself that's really been there for you be laid to rest, and you are. So give yourself some compassion. Take care of yourself during this time and recognize what thought process, what way of thinking has to be put to rest in order for you to follow your dream, in order for you to do what it is that you're called to do, in order for you to achieve something you've been working on. The Ace of Wands wants to say, like, there's a new way to live, but you have to sort of let the old way die first, because they can't occupy the same space. So be brave, cry it out, let that version of you that is already gone, it's already begging to be laid to rest. You're not going to have to kill it. It's already done. It's already fading. You can already tell that this is not actually who you are anymore. You actually don't hate yourself this much. You actually don't feel like everyone's out to get you, or you actually, like, random examples, right? You actually don't feel those ways, and you don't want to feel that way anymore. You want to feel different. And this piece of you is done. It's laying down. But sometimes our brains really fight to keep that because it's what's worked forever. So we fight and we fight and we fight to keep it, even though the rest of us doesn't want to force it to live past its usefulness. So take a moment at the beginning of Sag season right now to breathe, to listen to yourself, to ask yourself the question, what is ready to be done so that I can make space for following my dream, so I can make space to even hold the validation and the fruit of my labor. I want to hold it. Well, who do I need to be? to be able to have those good things that I want and that I know I deserve. In order to follow my dream, who do I need to be? And what part of me is already saying, I'm done? And how can I let that piece go? Because when you do, Cancer, you really will start to feel like a brand new person. And that brand new person will really feel like the truest version of yourself, not like you're putting on a disguise. Okay, Leo, for you, the card for Sagittarius season is the Six of Wands. And I know that you Leos recognize a victory lap when you see one. But I do want to pause for a moment here, because this is not necessarily saying that a victory lap is happening. Sometimes the Six of Wands comes to the table to remind you that you will win, to remind you that you will be on top again, to remind you that you will feel like it's all working out at some point. Because in my experience, the Six of Wands comes to you when you're like, don't necessarily feel like it's going that great, or you don't necessarily feel like you're winning, but you sort of are, but your perspective is like right in the middle of it to where you can't tell. And so the Six of Wands reminds you, this is what winning looks like. You're just not on your victory lap yet. Okay? You are being asked to remember all of the times that things have worked out for you, so that you can put your whole effort into the thing that you're trying to make happen right now. Your whole effort with the perspective of things work out for me, even if my experience in the past is that they don't. Because you know what? You cannot project past experiences onto the future, because you do not know what's going to happen. You don't know. No, you don't. You literally don't. You think, your body and your brain think they know what's going to happen. They think they can recognize a pattern and extend that pattern into infinity, but they can't, because chaos rules this world, not patterns. And even in all of the patterns, there will always be anomaly, because chaos rules. And even if you feel like, I feel like some of you could be feeling like, I feel like I'm winning and I know I'm winning. And this is definitely reassurance that yes, you are. Keep going. But don't get so distracted by the winning that you fumble the things that need to happen to sustain that, right? Because the Six is a cycle. We are not always on the top. Sometimes we're not feeling like we're winning, and sometimes we're not winning, because it's not a static experience that is always and unchanging. And when we keep that in mind, it doesn't hurt as much when that starts to happen and numbers start to shift or things start to work differently. It doesn't mean that it's over. It doesn't mean that you're dying. It doesn't mean that it's ending. It just means that sometimes you're not in the validations phase, in the victory lap phase of your success, because all of your challenges help you to gain more success, help you to hold more success and actually feel fulfilled by that success, which is the real challenge. And then some of you really might be feeling like, I don't feel like I'm winning at all. I feel like it's actually been shit for a long time. And I'm sorry, because that sucks. But the Six of Wands does say that if you can remember to shift your perspective right now to this is you winning, because anything that's not working out right now, you are not meant to be doing, no matter how bad you want it. And you can grieve that. You can grieve the loss. You can grieve things not working, but don't give up, because you are still destined to win. Okay? Keep trying. Okay, Virgo, you're not going to like this one. But the truth is that your card for Sagittarius season is the Ten of Wands. And that means, unfortunately, you will not be able to do everything yourself. You will not be able to hold everything that you want to hold and pay attention to everything that you want to pay attention to during this season. You really are going to want to investigate all the things that you're spending time on, that you're spending your attention on, that you're spending your money on, all of the things that are your responsibility, and make sure that they really are your responsibility, right? Because you've got your hands full. You have to go through all of the things that are calling for your attention and ask yourself, is this mine? Is this something that actually does need my personal perspective and my personal attention? And if not, I'm putting it down. And if so, do I have space for it? And if not, how can I ask for help? If not, can I find a way to put it down? If not, how can I reprioritize my life, rearrange things so that I can have energy for this thing that I want to prioritize? And all of these things that we have to go through every wand that we're holding and make a shorter priority list. Because if you keep going the rate that you're going, if you keep walking with all of these sticks in front of your face, you're going to trip. You're going to fall. There's only so much that we can do. There's only so much that we can hold, that we can put our energy to before we crash, before we're burnt out, before we completely screw up because we weren't giving the best of us to any of the things we were trying to do because we spread ourselves way too thin, right? I'm not someone who's like, you're definitely going to crash, but ultimately the 10 of Wands is like, you're not giving the best of yourself to any one of these things. And in an effort to do everything perfectly and to get everything done and to have your own personal stamp on everything, in that effort to do such a good job, you really are missing things because there's too many things on your plate. You are spread too thin. You can only do so much, and that is a blessing. It's a good thing. You should not be handling every aspect of everything. You can't. You should not be doing that. Life does not work that way. You are not meant to be that individualistic. Now, I know that you know the best way to do things a lot of times, but at some point you're going to have to trust other people's idea. At some point you're going to have to trust somebody else's plan of how the best way to get this done is. Or when you tell them this is the way I think it should be done, you just have to trust that they're either going to trust you and do that, or they're going to do it their way. And either way, it will be okay. It has to be. Either way, it will be okay. And if there's consequences, you'll deal with them. And I just don't feel like it's going to be a big deal. I think you just need to pump the brakes or risk a major crash that will be much harder to untangle, much harder to work through, much harder to clean up than it would be if you just put some things down right now. I think that's the best way to do it, because the Ace of Wands is like, hey, hello, we've been trying to give you this piece of information. We've been trying to give you this fuel to move forward on a different project, to move forward on a different thing, to get a dream out here in the world. But your arms are full of wands and we can't give you another one. It's like doing a road opening, but you are literally walking down a different road currently and it's not closed. Like, you can't keep opening roads. You can't keep blockbusting when you're literally already on a path. If your hands are full and there's no space for a blessing, you will not receive it. It will just be in the waiting room forever. So put some things down because something better is out there for you. Okay, Libras, for you, the card for Sagittarius season is the 9 of Swords. And that, I know, I get it. We don't love that. But the 9 of Swords doesn't necessarily speak to things that are actually happening. It just speaks to the experience of your brain, how you're experiencing this, what your perception is, and how you're deciding to take it. Like, I know I say deciding to take it, and some people are going to be like, I'm not choosing. This is just how it makes me feel. And yes, that's what I mean. This is how it makes you feel. And I get that. And that's absolutely okay. But the 9 of Swords describes a mental experience of being tormented by something, of this really giving yourself the hardest time in your brain, even though maybe the physical circumstances don't exactly match that mental experience. It's like the physical circumstance is like less than ideal, but it's not a horrible torture nightmare. But the way I feel about it is causing me to have a horrible torture nightmare. And that is suffering that is undue. That is suffering you do not need to be suffering because it's not connected to something that is actually happening, right? This is a call to face your fears. This is a call to directly engage with the part of your brain that is trying to take you back to a place where you are worthless, where you're struggling, where nothing ever works for you, where all these swords are so heavy and your brain is just against you. It's nothing but negative talk. It's saying that's your job this month. This season, your job is to directly confront those thoughts. Because when there's a 9 on the table and we're being consumed by those thoughts, it's on the table because we have the opportunity, we have wiggle room, we have the potential to shift those thoughts, to move past it, to face that fear and overcome it, or to walk with it. Let it shift and move with you. Because again, the Ace of Wands is the umbrella here. The Ace of Wands is the main theme of the month. So there's something that you want, that the world wants to give to you, that spirit wants to say, like, yes, here. But because the process of getting there is causing this experience, it's really hard to see. It's really hard to see and to grasp. But that doesn't mean it's not there. There's a solution to your problem. There are many solutions to your problem, is what I'm hearing. There are many solutions to your problem. But you have to start with the mental experience of this, because you will not be able to see the truth. You will not be able to see the opportunity right in front of your face because you are stuck in this mental nightmare. But remember, it's a nightmare. When we stop and we look at the truth of a nightmare, when a big scary monster is chasing us down the street in our nightmares, and we turn around and we look that mug right in the face, it changes to be harmless. It changes to be something else completely manageable. And the fear of it was really what was giving it power. And in the 9 of Swords, nightmare logic rules. So look at it dead in the face. Tell yourself what the actual circumstances are, not connected to how you feel about it. And I think that you'll find yourself really being able to witness and then grasp the opportunity that is in front of you. That will solve the problem. That will ease the suffering. That will actually help you get something done and get somewhere that you want to go. But remember, it's not going to feel that way. And that's the fight. That's the struggle. All right, Scorpio, the card of Sagittarius season for you is the Queen of Cups. And I really feel like this is an invitation for you to get a little bit more, 2 things, more intimate with your emotional experience. And that might not be easy. Sometimes we say that and people sort of just like are like, yeah, I'm going to be more aware of it. And like, that's not always the case. Sometimes if you are being asked to get more intimate with the way that you're feeling, it's because there's a block or some padding, some insulation, some numbing. And that's okay. It happens. It's natural. It's okay. But there is a solution, and that is that you actually have to utilize tools. You can't just think, I'm going to think my feelings, I'm going to feel them. You have to utilize actual tools to get closer to the way that you're feeling, which might be journaling. It might be a beautiful season to journal more often, to ask yourself more questions, to be more radically honest with yourself, to ask yourself some of those questions over and over again and see if the answer changes, and to trust that you know how you're feeling. You just have to share it with yourself. It's not that you have no feelings. And also that numb is a feeling. And if you're feeling numb, then that can be the feeling that you're feeling. And you write that down as your checklist off of your feelings. You investigate that feeling. What does numb feel like and where does it come from? And maybe it's an invitation. Maybe there's other stuff under there. But the big point of that is that it's time to get a little closer so that you know what's going on. And the other thing that I think that you're being invited to pay attention to here with the Queen of Cups is that this is a cup with a lid, baby. This is a boundaried experience. I don't think this is the month to spill your feelings everywhere. Not that I'm saying you need to be secretive or keep them to yourself, but that it's important when you are being called to do something, to act, to change, that sometimes the emotions, connected to that can be destructive to your actual path. And again, I'm not saying don't feel your feelings or numb them out. I'm saying sometimes we cannot share with every single person we've ever met our deepest desires and our deepest feelings. Sometimes we have to put a lid on this, and sometimes the lid is to keep people out, but also this is really more directed at making sure that you're filling it back in, that you are pouring into yourself, that you are building a container so that your emotional bandwidth is not wasted on everyone else all the time, so that you don't have any emotional bandwidth left for yourself. I think that your dream is attached to so many feelings. I think that your passion, the thing that you're being called to engage in, your role in all of this is attached to some bad feelings from the past. It's attached to some trauma. It's attached to some fear. And that's going to come up. And I don't think that you're being asked to be ruled by those feelings. I think you're being asked to investigate them, to get to know them, to get closer to them, and to put a lid on your cup so that you are pouring in and not out for this season, that you're filling up. And only when you get to a full cup, to the point where it's overflowing, do you then share the excess. We don't give of ourselves. We don't starve so someone else can eat. We find a balance, right? We fill up and we share. We don't have to be completely overflowing like the richest person ever in the world to give $1. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case. And I think that I just don't want anyone to be tempted by that idea. Well, I actually don't have enough, so I can't give. Sometimes giving gets, right? And sometimes we are a little too easy on ourselves with how much we don't have before we begin to share. And that is not the healthy thing to do, not the spiritually healthy thing to do. But when it comes to your emotions, if you do have space, then you can share. Then you can hold space for others. But if you find yourself constantly eating away at yourself, you will suffer. And I think that your dream will suffer. So make sure that you're putting time and attention, space, emotional bandwidth aside for yourself. I think some of you might start therapy this season. I think that might be great. Some of you might start professional therapy, get a new reader, get a new journal, get a new process that helps you process and experience your feelings and your internal landscape. And I think that will be the path to achieving your dreams. Okay, Sagittarius, you're up, Sagittarius. The card of Sagittarius season for you is strength. And we are going into a strength year. So this is really appropriate for you to have this lead your closing out of 2023 in your own season. Because I really think that the strength card right now is asking you to be totally so for real with yourself, to be radically honest and vulnerable with yourself. Vulnerable with yourself and vulnerable with the people trying to help you, with the opportunities that are actually trying to get you somewhere that you want to go. There is an element of endurance to this. This is where the transformation happens. It's an 8, right? We go in this card one way and we come out completely changed. It is the process of transformation. And the strength card is ruled by Leo. It's ruled by the heart. So this is asking us, what gives you the strength to continue? What rooted in love, what thing rooted in love gives you the ability to continue, to endure, to keep going, to stay strong, right? Because you have a dream. We all do. This card is here for all of us. We have something that we're being asked to actually surrender to and to do it, to really do it. And the strength card says that you're going to need some ammunition, some anchors in joy, some anchors in love, some anchors in the tools that allow you to fill up so that you can keep going. This also says you are invited to investigate what strength even means to you, because there could be some calls that feel like they put you a little bit exposed. They make you a little bit vulnerable to go in that direction, to follow that thing is asking you to be so naked, so much more naked than you're used to being, emotionally, with visibility, with many ways. And I think that the strength card is directly asking you to investigate what your definition of strength is. Because if we are strong only because we can ignore things so well, is that truly strength, and will it truly get us anywhere? And if we are strong because we feel, because we let ourselves be crushed by things that crush us, that we cry when something moves us, and that we continue to move forward because we understand that those feelings are love still, that grief is love, that anger can oftentimes be love. And when we recognize that, we know that we are not empty of love. We are overfull of it. And that means that we can endure. We can keep going because we have the fuel of love. And that is transformative. That will change you. You're being asked to keep going. You're being asked to keep going. You are not failing. It's just hard. It's not you. It's just hard. But you can find those tools to be so vulnerable and to come up against your growth edge when it comes to how willing you are to be seen and to be loved and to let yourself be seen and loved. To come up to that edge and to bull right past it and to lean in more, to be so open and available that, and to have your love be so witnessable that they can't help but share it, that they can't help but love you back. And that's not, I don't mean like somebody's gonna love you back like emotionally. I'm talking about your whole life. I'm not talking about your relationships. I'm almost never talking about that. I'm talking about your life here. I'm talking about your invitations. I'm talking about what is happening for you in your life and on your journey, your path. We're talking bigger themes. And the Ace of Wands says, you want something and it's possible. And we want you to grasp this fuel. We want you to grasp this energy. We want you to surrender to the call. And you are going to need the ability to be vulnerable with yourself. You're going to need the ability to dig into the things that give you joy and use them as fuel, to use that love and open-heartedness as fuel to keep going. And when you do, you'll come out the other side of this 8 stronger than you've ever been, closer to yourself with a deeper understanding of who you really are and how you operate. And that will lead you to experiencing your dream, making it manifest, experiencing it in the physical world in a way that is so satisfying that it will be absolutely worth the work. All right, Capricorn, the card for Sagittarius season for you is the Page of Cups. And I really feel like this invitation is asking you to like lighten up a bit. It's asking you to lighten up a bit. Like, your dreams are dreams because they are meant to bring you joy. You are being asked to surrender to a call that will bring you joy. But if you have the joy centers turned off completely and wholly focused on the survival things, or wholly focused on the practical, or wholly focused on something that is not the joy, it's going to be difficult to align yourself with what will bring you a sense of security through a sense of fulfillment, through a sense of fucking joy. I know. But the Page of Cups is like such a willingness to interact directly with your feelings and to interact directly with your joy. And in this moment in particular, I really do feel like it's asking you to like find the universe joke, find the joke of the whole universe and decide where your punchline is. Like, what is the silliness of it? Can you see the absolute absurdity of this moment and let that free you? Can you let that make you so curious about what's possible, what other funny stuff exists? And if this is all a joke, then what does that change? If all of this is a joke, what does it change? Does it change the way you want to live? Does it change the things that you're drawn to? Does it change what your dream might actually be? I think really the feeling I'm getting is that for Capricorn, you might end up wanting something completely different than you've ever wanted by the end of the season. You might end up wanting something that you have never dreamed of wanting. But by the end of the season, because you were playful, because you decided to lighten up a little bit and let things be a little bit funnier, sillier, matter a little less. When you realize that worrying about something doesn't make it go better, or stressing about it so hard doesn't make you more guaranteed to have a good time or for it to work out, and you can ease up a little bit, you will find that there's been a desire in there all along that you never noticed. And I feel like using the tool of lightening up, of deciding that things may be, at least for this season, they just may not be as deep, right? It may not be as deep. It may not be as big. Some things are deep, some things are big. It doesn't change. That doesn't change. But some things you are being invited to shift your perspective on and realize that they matter a whole heck of a lot less than you thought they did. And because of that, it changes some things about you. Because of that, it changes some things about what you want and how you're going to get them. So stay supple, stay vulnerable, stay curious about what's true, and shift your perspective to one of being curious about what actually doesn't even matter in the way that you thought it did, and watch your life change. Okay, Aquarius, your card for Pisces season is the Knight of Wands. And I think that is a really juicy place to be just with Sagittarius season alone. On top of being an Ace of Wands card as well, like an Ace of Cards moment. Ace of Cards. An Ace of Wands moment. I really think that the Knight of Wands is asking you to move forward a little bit more curious about what your personal style of moving is. What's your genre? What's your personal flair? What is your unique way of achieving your goal? You know what? I said that and I don't feel like, I don't think it's about achieving your goal. It's about experiencing the journey. This is really about how you're going to get there and being a little less concerned about how anyone else has ever gotten there and how it's worked out, and trusting that because you have this weird idea about how it's going to work, that if you can believe it and put your whole heart into it, it might just work better, faster, smoother, more complete than anybody else's more logical or typical or expected path. And that should be right up your alley as an Aquarius, to do things differently. But you know, you're still a human being and you're still on the planet in 2023. So you likely do have some hangups about being different and about moving through the world in a way that you have not seen reflected. But it's time to get a little bit trustworthy in that, to put a little weight in the trust of your uniqueness, because it is trying to change the way that you move through this world. And if you find yourself pushing back against that, or like resisting moving through the world in the way that you are like feeling called, that you feel the urge to do so, because it's different, or because you think it's just wrong, or because you think you're broken and you're always wrong, or whatever, then you really do have an invitation this month or this season to just try, to just give it a try, and not a tentative try. I feel like this horse is running through this. They're jumping, they're making a leap. This is a quick and flashy move. And I think that you're being invited to sort of lean into that, to just sort of just kind of go hard and see how it works. And it's no guarantee that everything will be the way that you want it to be or turn out in an ideal situation, but you will learn your unique way of moving, how you are going to do this, how you're going to achieve your dream differently, and how the dream that you are dreaming and your desire is like, you sort of describe it to people and it sounds like something they're used to or familiar with, but you know that you're like, that's not really it, but this is the best way to describe it. I think it's just time to make that weird stuff happen and to move through the world in your unique way. I think utilizing the wand energy, the fire that is here under Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a mutable energy, right? So it is about energy that is usable. It is there for you to do something with it, to transform with it. And I think that the Knight of Wands is the perfect vehicle to just trust your unique way of doing it and do it and just see what happens. Find out what you like, find out what you don't like by doing it. Don't wait to figure it out. Just do it. And I think that you can do it. You don't have to be worried about the speed. You can do it quickly. It's not as reckless as you think it is. It's not about being reckless. It's about listening to what you're actually called to do, and then recognizing when that is like a weird thing or a different thing, that's right. And that's your call, and that's your move, and you're going to move in a way that's weird, and that's just going to have to be okay. And I really think that it's going to get you somewhere. I really think so. This is a lesson that is something like, you're learning this lesson about how naturally this is meant to come to you. This is meant to come naturally to you. And the way that you were raised, because we live in this world, it doesn't. But that's okay, because it can. You just have to try. Give this path a shot and see how naturally it actually ends up coming to you, to be your whole unique self. Okay, Pisces, the card on the table for you for Sagittarius season is Death. And I really feel like, especially under the Ace, I feel like they are telling you, like asking you to lay to rest old desires that you know are not something that you truly want anymore. This really feels like revelatory. Like, I feel like this death might be a little surprising to you. I feel like this death might be something that you didn't expect. Like, you made this choice, like you got married, you went to a school, you started this job, you started this career, or you did this thing that you really thought you wanted, and you're doing it and you're living it. And then all of a sudden you're like, shit, I don't want this. This is actually not true for me. This isn't who I am. It might have been who I was, but it's not who I am. You are being asked to trust that. Look at these two things. It's death with the Ace of Wands. You are being asked to lay to rest, to trust that energy of death. It's not just like the Ten of Swords where they're like, this is done already, it's dying, just let it go, you got to change your mind. This is true deep transformation. This is the beginning of a full transformation of your life towards what you are wanting, towards what feels to me like you've already been working for. You just haven't recognized that the two pieces of your life, your big goals for yourself and the thing that you've already committed to, are not compatible. And that's okay. It's okay, because you have the gift of death. So that thing can rot, it can die, it can be laid to rest, and you can use the energy, those nutrients that get reabsorbed into the earth, you can use them to fuel your new growth. It doesn't mean it's not sad. You can grieve it, especially if it's something that's like a relationship or a career that you spend a lot of time and money on. Like, it's okay. You can grieve those things, but it doesn't make them right. Just because you're sad that they're leaving doesn't make them the right thing for you, because you are being pulled in the direction of the thing that is, of something that is rooted in a truer, more honest connection of your desire. But the thing that you have committed to, that it's occupying that space, it's not right. And it's time for it to be done. It may have been right in the past, but it's time for it to be done. It's time for it to be laid down. It's time for it to go to sleep for the long sleep. And death is your friend. Don't forget that death is your friend. It is a natural cycle. It's something you deserve to experience over and over again. And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's really sad, but it's always a natural cycle. And it is what you deserve, especially if on the other end of that is something that is new and deeply rooted and exciting and makes you feel like life is really worth living and you never thought it'd feel this way. Especially when that is on the other end of it, then any of the grief that we experience during the death process, it's really worth it. Everything succumbs to death. It's nobody's fault. It's not your fault. You're just different now, and you're recognizing that you want something that your current circumstances can't give you. And so those circumstances need to change. And that's okay. You're not a failure. Whatever it was wasn't a failure. You tried. You gave it your all. You put your heart into it, and it turned out to not satisfy you. And that's okay. And you're still alive, so you deserve to be satisfied. And I think surrendering to this death and letting this thing end gracefully and just honoring its time and saying goodbye is really going to be worth the beautiful new beginning of incredible passion and desire and excitement and creativity and fulfillment. It will let that really satisfy you and wash over you and hold you and excite you and fuel you forward into a new way of living. And I think that rules. That's the end of it. Thank you so much for being with me here. Thank you for listening and for watching your signs. Tell me what resonated. Share down below if there's something that really hit you or made you feel afraid or made you feel any kind of way. Let me know. I would love to talk to it. If you want more interpretations or you have a particular question, feel free to put it in the comments, and if I can help you, I will. So let me know. Thank you so much to all of my patrons. You rule, and I love you, and I can't wait to talk to you again. As I'm recording this, tomorrow we're doing tarot study where we are going to do the pages. We're going to talk about the pages in the tarot and learn something together. So if that sounds like I want to be a patron, then you know where to click the link and follow along. You know where to click the link and join us. There's a lot of options. There's 3 different price ranges. Like, join us. There's a lot to do. And that's it for me here. Till next time, stay queer, stay magical, stay on the other side of the screen. Love you.